Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Roddy John, and today we talk to Sexxxy Eddy. We talk all about his early days of wrestling, Four Loko, and so much more. This is such a fun conversation. Sexxxy Eddy, he even told me afterwards he was definitely in more of a, kind of motivational, better place than he has been in the past. So this was such a good conversation. I'm all about positivity and motivation, so this was definitely a good one. So we will get to Sexxxy Eddy in just a second, but make sure to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get even more information about our guests, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Sexxxy Eddy. I would like to welcome to the show Sexxxy Eddy. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. It is sometimes past my bedtime. People are like, man, Sexxxy Eddy must party 24 hours. No, when you get to my age, I'm actually 106 years old. I sleep in a coffin. That's why people have seen me wrestle in the black and white days, and I'm still around. Some people are like, are you still the same Sexxxy Eddy that bled from his artery? I'm like, yes, I'm still wrestling. So yes, I've been around forever, but I am doing great.
Yeah, I think you and Danhausen are the only ones that have been wrestling as longer than Ric Flair.
Yeah, they resuscitate us once in a while, and I've even been cloned a few times. So yeah, I hope I'm number 6 is the good clone, because that's what I feel like sometimes. You know how many lives you lose in wrestling? It's funny. You see some old videos. I'll get people will send me on Instagram, on Twitter, and I'm like, wow, how did I not die when that happened? So yeah, I just, to answer that, I've been cloned many times.
So it's not always you that they're seeing, but it is definitely you in some form.
Yeah, there is the same DNA, so I think that counts.
Exactly. I mean, it's close enough. I mean, we've all seen multiplicity. Like every third is not the best clone, but
Exactly.
You hope to iron them out at some point.
Yeah, but I still take the chair shots to the head, so I don't seem to get smarter after all these clones. So that's something I got to work on, I think, is like protect the head.
With modern technology and science, I think by the time you get to the 7th or 8th clone, you should be getting all that out. You should be fine.
Yeah.
Now, for those that are listening, kind of paint us a word picture. Where are you at? What's going on around you?
Okay, I am in my living room. I am next to my wife, who's asleep, that I told her I'll be probably a little loud. She's like, that's okay. I said, I got to turn on the light. She said, that's okay. My dog, well, he's looking at me now while I'm talking about him. He's licking his balls. He's a Boston Terrier called Chief, and he just stopped licking when I talked about him.
Well, he knew you're putting him on Front Street, and he was like, wait a minute.
He's like, hey, come on, keep some things private. No, he's back to his balls again.
Oh.
Well, hey, just like his dad, right?
You got to make sure they're okay, is really what the situation is.
They're both there. As long as they're there, yeah.
Now, I have a segment on the show. I call it the 5 count. Normally, I would do it at the end of the show, but I want to start doing it kind of like an icebreaker, maybe a quick 5 count, if you will. So,
all right, like the last time I heard the 5 count was with King Kong Bundy, so it's good you bring it back. A little nostalgia for everyone.
Thank you. Exactly. King Kong Bundy, Big E, all the big guys.
The big guys, yeah.
So number 1, what are 3 things people would not expect about you?
That I like to cook. I think that's maybe something that surprises them. I am not. I don't know anything about cars. I don't know if that might surprise people. Sometimes usually think I don't know if that's something. Yeah, I know zero about cars. I've been in people's cars that say 10 times, and then you'll ask me what kind of car it was. I don't know. I'll be like, I think it was red. So that's something. It just does not register with my brain. Cooking. So I don't know anything about cars, and that they wouldn't know about me. My favorite movie is Napoleon Dynamite. Actually, it's between Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Billy Madison. So I guess yeah, there's a couple things maybe they didn't know about me.
Interesting. I was not a big Napoleon Dynamite fan. I guess I need
it's
to
an
watch
acquired taste, and
yeah,
and
I know. There was like three times total I laughed, and I was like, okay. Maybe, I think it's one of those things that talked about so much and hyped so much that by the time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's it? That's what everyone was talking about?
That could be one thing. When
Yeah.
my mother watched part of it and she didn't like it because her answer was, why are they making fun of him if he is mentally handicapped? And I'm like,
Oh,
Mom, he's not. Again, you don't really know all that stuff, but I was like, Mom, he's not, or pretend he's not. So yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's in my top. It's in my top five.
there you go. Number two, if you owned a liquor company, brewery, winery, or coffee shop, which one would you own and what would the name be?
I think I would own, you know what, a coffee shop
Hmm.
because then I wouldn't have because the other three will lead you to alcohol problems.
Yep.
So again, you could be an addict at drinking a lot of coffee, but maybe I'd be more productive and I would be able to stay up past 10 o'clock at night. And I would try a coffee shop, I think, and I would call it. You know what? Maybe I'd have it called Central Perk with a big red X on it because I don't want friends. I don't want people here to talk and stuff. Just buy the coffee and get the fuck out. Like, this is not a place to buy one coffee and you can put in your internet and write a book. Like, no, I need business. We want traffic. So get the hell out. There are no friends allowed in my coffee shop. Sorry, that sounds like a grumpy old man. No, I'd probably have, I like the coffee shop idea, but I think it'd be like, bring your pets. If you bring your
Oh,
pet, you get like a discount.
that's
So
awesome.
that, yeah.
So it's funny you said that about coffee shops. I think it was comedians in cars getting coffee, the episode with Chris Rock, where he was talking to
No,
Jerry and he was like, where else in the world can you just pay $5 and just rent a space for 5 to 6 hours at a time? Like,
that's a really good point. A funny thing you bring up too, because I'd been when I was starting out wrestling. There's some places like church basements or real ghetto wrestling leagues, and
mm,
same thing. You're like, where can you bring kids under like 10 for free, and the older ones like paying for $5 or $10 back in the day, and you're there for 3-4 hours. The hot dogs sometimes are like $1 each. Like
yep,
you're really saving a lot of money. Like babysitters and stuff, you don't have to pay that because once wrestling starts, the kids' attentions are there. And I mean,
yep.
after a few shows, then they just start fighting amongst themselves. I actually have a great video. I just seen it on my phone 2 days ago that I didn't know I had. I was doing a cleanup, and there was about a minute and a half of kids in the ring wrestling because it was the intermission. It's a free for all, and I'm like, wait, and I have this on video because I was waiting for one kid to try and climb the top rope and fall off, and I was like, how this even happens, I don't know, but in some subcultures in wrestling, and there's like in every state, in every province, in every country, there's places where it's I want to say really lowbrow, or
Hmm.
the audience is also like they're not expecting much. Even the wrestlers are usually lacking training, if any at all. And yeah, so the intermission happens, and that's the kids. And every wrestler who's there has about 4 or 5 kids too, so they're all in for free, and they're just fighting in the ring. So yeah, I can't even remember what the question was, which led me to this dangerous thing of having kids wrestling in the ring. But yeah, exactly. What can be cheaper than renting a space? Like you said, Chris Rock said. So
Yeah.
same thing at a ghetto wrestling show. You can save a lot of money, especially if you have a lot of kids, and they just tire each other out in the ring, and they tire each other out with the other kids. You just hope yours doesn't have to go to the hospital because actually, a hospital. There's another place where you can stay in the waiting area for hours and not have to pay.
That's true. They do get very bored in the hospital lobby though.
Yeah, you have to keep buying them food at the vending machine. Again, it's a tactical thing that they have there with the vending machines.
Mm. My dog has made an appearance. Number three, what would your last meal be?
Wow, I'm a foodie. I
Hmm.
love food a lot. And it would be a toss up. I mean, like you could I just ate tortellini before, but I
Ooh.
mean out of my like top choices, I'd have sushi, pizza, a steak, lasagna. It'd be a toss up. It's always like how you're feeling in the day. Do I know it's my last meal, or am I like I'm going in the electric chair? Am I in the hospital bed at 80 something years old where I have no teeth? That's another thing. I can't eat steak if I have no teeth, right?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong there.
Yeah.
I,
So if it's a strategical move, like I am, if I it really depends. I used to have like a good, and I got this from my mom, a cool skill of she makes a menu, so she'd have the month ahead, and she would like know certain specials are coming up, and like in the month, and then she would plan accordingly, and it was wonderful, especially when there was some couple things that I didn't like as much. I can go to a friend's house and I would miss that. But she was very good at organizing food and buying it and everything like that. So I think that would all depend on my last meal, and I'd be like, well, what's on special? So that might affect a little bit.
that's fair enough. That
even
is true.
even on my deathbed, I'm like, hey, I still got to make a special. I got to save some money here.
Number three or number four, who or what inspires you?
Um, wow. Again, if you're gonna look at it wrestling wise, my three main inspirations: Shawn Michaels, Mankind, and Rey Mysterio Jr. They all brought something different to the table. Shawn Michaels was, of course, his charisma and able to make any big guy look great. The best matches of Kevin Nash, of Sid Vicious, were with Shawn Michaels. For Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. He just threw his body any which way. He showed that you didn't have to be a bodybuilder or a model to wrestle, and the things he could do, the pain tolerance, it just made me want to see how much pain I can take in doing some of the death matches. And Rey Mysterio Jr., again, he showed you that you don't have to be a certain height, and again, he really brought a lucha libre to the mainstream. There was so many back in the day, but he was one that stuck in my head. I have to say, one of like the first real mass guys that I'd see more mainstream. There was Psychosis, there was Juventud Guerrera, other guys too, but Rey Mysterio Jr. had a special connection, I feel, and again with his small stature. So it was all things like that made me. They really inspired me, and again to meet two out of the three. To be on shows at 2 out of 3 is pretty cool too. So it's a lot harder to get to on a show or to work with to get to talk with Shawn Michaels unless you're anywhere near the WWE. But again, that's it's still a cool story to still have done that. Yeah, and I met two of my heroes, and they did not disappoint. So that the saying of "don't meet your heroes," it depends on the time and place, and it depends how drunk they are too. So that's all factors in. But yeah, it was two great experiences. So.
That's amazing. And then what would you tell your 17-year-old self?
Oh man, try and put a lock on your penis because you're gonna spend a lot of time on it. Once I discovered it at a certain age, it was like Nintendo used to be my number one toy, and then my penis became my number one toy, and it consumed me a lot. And I didn't do a lot of homework because of it. I might have been a doctor or a lawyer or a very rich person, but my penis prevented me from that. So in turn, I used my penis to my advantage to push myself into wrestling. Um, I think I would actually, you know what? I wouldn't listen to myself neither. First off, if I met myself in the future, I'd be like, I saw too many sci-fi movies. We're not supposed to meet, so this is screwed up. And I would probably fight with my 17-year-old self. I don't know how it would turn out, but I know it would just change everything in the universe and the multiverse. So I think if I saw myself